it's a very big statement for Love Island to bin off a fast fashion brand. So when we first started Luxe Collective, there was a massive stigma around secondhand stuff. eBay doing this with Love Island has fully just broken that stigma. It's incredible.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of the Talk Twenties podcast. If you're not already subscribed or following, make sure you do so you never miss another episode of us in the studio. Today, I'm joined by the wonderful Ben Gallagher. He is the co-founder of Luxe Collective, and we're going to be talking about luxury fashion on the podcast today. Now, this is something that you've probably never even talked about, or maybe even had that many conversations with friends, but it's one of those things that you probably wish you knew more about and understood a lot more. And obviously school, anything like that, doesn't teach us any of this stuff. So I'm so excited to dive in with a luxury fashion expert. Ben, thank you.
I appreciate it. Thanks for asking me on.
Oh, it's amazing to have you here. We're in Liverpool, and I think people can tell from your accent that you're born and bred. You've been here your whole life. You've also set up a business here, which is so exciting. And I'd love for you to tell us a little bit more about you. Tell our listeners who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I'm the co-founder of Luxe Collective. I founded it with my brother in 2018 when I was 17 and he was 23. So there's a 5-year gap between us. We buy and sell pre-loved designer items like clothing, footwear, accessories, bags. And yeah.
And I think it's one of the things, you know, we have all kind of people listening to the podcast and tuning in and stuff. But one of the things that probably I've never really understood, but I've only really learned from watching you and your TikTok is, you know, what an industry this is. And there's so much knowledge that probably like I didn't even realize about luxury fashion. I think one of the things that I love most about you guys is the sustainability element. So, you know, there's lots of conversations at the moment right now around fast fashion and how quick fashion is moving. And obviously, you know, designer and luxury fashion and stuff has been around a really long time. So brief history on luxury fashion. Can you run us through like everything that you've learned in kind of the past 5 years that you feel like for someone who doesn't really know too much about luxury fashion would kind of really want to know?
I think there's loads and loads and loads you could cover on luxury fashion. I'd say the best thing to do would probably be look at our TikTok. So what our TikTok kind of gives you is a lot of value in terms of like fashion news, stuff about the industry that you wouldn't know, things that are like surprising, like shocking facts, like loads of different things about the industry. I think a lot of it, I think our TikTok does so well is because a lot of the stuff, and you say it when you've seen our TikTok, it's like you would never think that happens in the luxury industry, or you wouldn't think it even happen in like the fashion industry. But I feel like for us, I know you mentioned sustainability. When we first started Luxe Collective, sustainability like wasn't even at the forefront of our mind. It was like, we're two young kids, how can we make a little bit of money? And it's like, oh, there's a gap in the market, we'll try this. And it worked. And then I think like, as we've become so invested in Luxe Collective and what we provide and the service we offer, and as we've hired more people and we've got loads of different perspectives, I feel like sustainability is like our main value as a company now. We've obviously got authenticity and sustainability, and like as a company, they're like so important to us. So like I said, at the beginning, we never, like obviously it's a sustainable business model. So pre-loved, we're recycling old items or unwanted items. So it stops a person from buying a new item. We're giving something a new lease of life. And the more we've hired, the more perspectives we've got, and the more like strategy we've implemented into our business of being sustainable. So like the likes of Louis Vuitton, they burn and shred all of the stuff that doesn't sell at the end of the season or the end of the year. Similar to Burberry and Chanel, they do the same, but there are companies that are doing a lot better for the environment. So Prada, they've released a range called Renylon, which is basically, so one of their classic materials is, well, they've got the Saffiano leather and then they've got Prada nylon, but then they've done something called Renylon. So that means that it basically feels the same, it looks the same, it's got the same smell, it's got the same feel, everything, but it's all made of recycled materials. So there's like, I could talk you through our TikTok and go through loads of different things that like we've touched on and all the things in the industry, but they're obviously the main things that point out to me. And yeah, this is the sustainable way of shopping is definitely changing, and we've seen it change from when we started in 2017 to now, and how much, especially the Gen Z and millennial
the millennial market
generation, how much sustainability.
That word is so hard to say. Literally, if you tried to say it on repeat, I think we'd all say it sound like that.
Those types of generation is like, it's at the forefront of their mind when they're buying clothes now. And I think it's amazing. I think it is as well. And I think that's one of the main reasons that I can obviously see that from your TikTok now. And it's really interesting that you talk about your journey from how sustainability, you know, it is founded on sustainability in a way, but it wasn't one of the things that you were key highlighting. Not at all.
Like, and then now you're like, it's one of our core values.
So like now we used to go through loads of Costco water bottles, like when we first started. Yeah. And like, I don't know if anyone, like if people are listening to this and they drink Costco water bottles, like
I know
you leave them
like
half full around the house and that.
Yeah.
And we were thinking, like, we took a step back and was like, we can't be doing this. Like, we're a sustainable company. So we bought ourselves and all our team members like water bottles. Like, it's only the little things. Yeah. And then every order someone places on our website, we plant a tree. So like, just it doesn't have to be massive changes, but these little, like electric cars as well, for example, like it doesn't need to be massive changes. But because a lot of the attitude was probably early on from loads of shoppers or just loads of people in general. It's like, well, if I do that, it's not going to change. Like there needs to be a massive, but like it will. So like, it's like compounding. So like, if you start now and you are you don't even have to be very sustainable. You just have to be a little bit more sustainable. Like just consciously, like when you're brushing your teeth, just don't let the water run. Like little things like that. Like if you do that from now until like the rest of your life, like it adds up. And if everyone does that, it will make a massive change.
You're absolutely right. You're so spot on. And I think one of the things that I've got to ask you, and I would love to hear your views on, is it's recently been announced, I think last week or very recently in the news, that Love Island have binned off their fast fashion sponsors, and they've replaced them for eBay.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that?
I think it's incredible, like amazing. Like eBay, I think, to be fair, eBay needed to do something to make themselves more relevant. And I think they introduced like sneaker authenticity guarantee, and then more recently, they've reached out to us and said about like their bag authenticity guarantee. I don't think they've released the news of that yet, but they're implementing that. And then this with Love Island, obviously it must have been happening for ages in the background, but it's incredible. And I think, like I said, that generation of the millennials, Gen Z, like their audience, like Love Island's audience, it's perfect because that's the ones who are conscious of it and the ones who want to make a positive change. And I feel like it's a very big statement for Love Island to bin off a fast fashion brand, especially because like, so when we first started Luxe Collective, there was a massive stigma around secondhand stuff, and putting it in the forefront of like a popular television program, it's making it cool. Yeah, it's making it cool to shop secondhand, which is what was our, like Joe always says this, my brother who I started the company with. He always says our biggest barrier would be breaking down this stigma. Yeah. We broke it down in Liverpool for sure, like when we first started. I think in Liverpool more it was a big stigma, but definitely all across the nation. And I feel like this is fully, like eBay doing this with Love Island has fully just broken that stigma. It's incredible. I'm very inspired by what they've done, because it makes us feel like, okay, like we can do this with a company, with a program or like a company, like we can collaborate with someone like this in the future. So it's very inspiring. Yeah,
definitely. So for you, going like stepping forwards and stuff, what do you want to see from Love Island and this eBay collaboration, like to make it even more sustainable?
I would say just sick styling, because like there's good, like it's good just giving them the stuff, but if they look bad in them, people aren't gonna want to dress in the stuff. So I think the styling has to be very good. I think definitely introducing trending pieces. So like what we always try to do with Luxe Collective is be like the most up-to-date, pre-loved like place for people to come. So like they wouldn't be like dressing in past seasons, or like you can do now because we've expanded our inventory, like you can dress in past seasons and you but like trending stuff doesn't need to be like new stuff. It could be like stuff that's coming back into trends from like 20, 30 years ago, because like mini skirts, for example, they're coming back into trend massively now. Miu Miu have just released a collection with their like mini skirts, which is like Y2K. So like just trending stuff, and it just has to be styled good, otherwise people aren't going to follow, are they?
Yeah. I think it's amazing, and like you say, I'm fully like behind it. I think that was big news coming out for this demographic.
It was talked about in our office, like we were all in it because we have 2 offices. It was literally everyone sent it to each other because like we didn't know people were talking, but literally
I was in meetings and I saw it and I was like, this is incredible. I think it was one of those things that when news comes out, you're like, this is the right decision. I don't think anyone can question that wasn't the right decision.
It was like, if anything, like a relief. It was like, finally people are getting onto it. Finally, like a big company has took that risky step, because you would argue that it's very risky for Love Island to do. But it was like, for me, definitely the right decision.
So your view then on fast fashion, we can probably tap into a little bit of what you've just said there, maybe kind of get some kind of views across, but like, as someone who has a company in pre-loved luxury fashion, what is your views on fast fashion?
So like, we do a lot of TikToks on this, or like I do, and I put my opinion across very strongly about it. And more recently, like I've done more research on it, and like just like I want to learn more about it. And I think that the fast fashion industry is very bad, and it definitely deserves the stick that it gets, because the overproduction of it is crazy. Like Shein, I think they release on average 2,000 products a day new.
Wow.
On their website a day. So a week, like 14,000 new products. Like this is new products. It's not just like like the re-uploads and stuff. It's like new products, like new lines. It's crazy. I do think, because me and my brother were out shopping, and we were like, you can understand why people buy fast fashion, because clothing is expensive. Like it's very expensive. So you can understand why if someone can get a top for £2, £3, they will. And I don't think that's bad. I don't think someone buying something for £2, £5, £10, whatever is bad. I think what's bad about it is the overconsumption of it. So when you see influencers or just like average people, not average people, that sounds a bit bad, but just like
the normal person,
the normal person doing like hauls, and they order so much, and like it, and so I think it's 3 out of 5 clothing items end up on landfill. Like that's like that.
Is that just returned ones or any?
No, like any. So like,
goodness.
so you'd buy something, you'd wear it once, doesn't fit you or whatever. You can't be bothered to put it to a charity shop. You just throw it in the bin. 3 out of 5 end up in landfill. It's either 3 out of 5 or 2 out of 5, but it's still a lot.
Massive, yeah.
So it's like 40 or 60%. So it's very, very bad. But yeah, like I said, it's hard for people who can't afford luxury items or pre-loved luxury items. And it's even like, me and Joe were out shopping, and it was like 60 quid for a t-shirt from Reese. And we were thinking, and we were testing the quality, and because we deal with designer items all day, like we know what like the fabrics and all that, it just didn't feel like good quality. So we understood why people, like we were talking about it, and we were like, you can't understand why people buy these t-shirts 2-3 quid, because it is expensive. But then I think the talk about shopping from like thrift shops and like eBay and Depop and stuff is like, it needs to be, there's definitely a way of making fast fashion more sustainable. So obviously, instead of throwing it away, give it to a charity shop. Instead of throwing it away, put it on eBay or Depop.
Yeah.
But the fashion industry as a whole is like the second biggest polluter in the whole world. So it's travel, like air travel. What would you call that? Like planes and all that. That's the biggest polluter. And then the second is fashion. So that doesn't mean just fast fashion. That means, like I was saying before, Louis Vuitton, they burn and shed their items.
Yeah.
And they don't burn and shed their items in France because they made it illegal. They ship them to the US. So then they've got cargo travel, which also pollutes. And then they shred them in the US because of tax. You can get your tax back on them. So...
and is that, to understand that from like, you know, a person who's not in this industry, is that because they don't want to ever sell products at a reduced price or anything like that? Is that the reason for why they do that?
Yeah, so the main reason is exclusivity.
Yeah.
So they want to keep their brand. They want to have a specific customer.
Yeah.
And they don't want to oversell stuff because they don't want too many people to wear stuff. So when they reach a certain level on the website of the item being sold, they'll bring it back. Like they'll say out of stock on the website, and so like they have to meet a quota every month, I'm guessing. And then as soon as that quota's reached, they'll pull it back. So if you go on the Louis Vuitton website now, half the products won't be available. And then at the end of the season, it's not necessarily classic items that they'll shred and burn, because classic items will sell. It's like pieces of like the collections that they're bringing out. Like they'll never keep the collection for longer than that period that the collection's meant to be out for, so they're just burn and shred them all.
So talk to me then, I've seen this on your TikTok, but I'd love you to tell our listeners, talk to us then about outlet stores, because I think a lot of people will think, okay, well all these luxury fashion brands, they've all got outlets at Cheshire Oaks and Bicester Village and all stuff like that. Surely they can just sell it at the outlet store. Yeah.
So in terms of like Louis Vuitton, you will never see a Louis Vuitton discounted, never see a Chanel discounted or a Hermes discounted, just because they want to keep the exclusivity of the brand. They do, however, do staff sales sometimes. So if you work for Louis Vuitton or Chanel, like, you're very lucky, because they do staff sales. So you can get a Chanel cheaper.
That's your only
just
way.
go and get a job with them. But yeah, with the outlet stores, so there are a few items which go from. This is funny, this TikTok, because so I try and make 3 TikToks a day, and what I'll do is like come up with 3 ideas, and if I can't come up with 3 ideas, I'll just think of like, oh, what can I do? And this was the one. I was like,
they're usually the most successful,
exactly.
aren't they?
It was like just to fill the gap of 3.
Yeah.
It's like the 3rd one. I was like, oh, I just talk about this, and it banged. It got like 2 million views or something. But it was basically talking about outlet stores. So they create specific products for outlet stores.
Yeah.
So they can get some products from the physical stores that you'll see like in Manchester, in London, like Oxford Street, in the Trafford Centre, stuff like that. But mainly the products that are sold at outlet stores are made for outlet. So like MFO, made for outlet. And these will be either like mad colours, so like colours that won't be popular. They'll be made of more like lesser materials. So that's why they can reduce the price, and that's why they can sell them for cheaper. And also just basic shapes. So like Prada is a massive one. For bags and footwear and even coats. So if you go into the Prada outlet in Bicester Village, for example, like if you go to Bicester Village and you see the stuff and you think, oh, it's quite bad in there, that's the reason why. It's because all this stuff is made for outlet. If you think it's good, like you go, oh, it's like got good stuff in today, like the second time you go or whatever, you go, oh, it's got good stuff in today. That will be because that is the stuff from the stores. So if it is just basic stuff, that's made for outlets. And like I was saying in the TikTok, if you are after something that's from the stores, you can just ask the SA, just say to her, is this made for outlet or is this from a store? And they have to tell you. So if you don't want something that's made for outlet, if you don't want something that's made for outlet, like you won't buy it if you know that, because you can just ask.
That's super useful advice. I think for a lot of people who, a lot of people, they might have a couple of luxury items. I think, very, very fortunate. Some people might love it. Some people might just not even know this and think, I'd love to go to Cheshire Oaks to get my luxury fashion at discounted prices. So I think the fact that you're kind of spreading this knowledge and information, it's stuff that like, we're not taught this stuff in school. We don't, none of this information is kind of out there. And I love the fact that you're kind of making it accessible and understandable.
It's crazy. Like I've said this for about 3-4 years, because that's how long I've been doing TikTok for. And it's like, no one creates the content similar to ours. Like it's crazy that we've been doing it for so long and there's not someone who's trying to replicate what we do, because that's all I do. Like I look at ideas off Instagram, off Pinterest, off other TikTokers, like creators, not brands, and think, how can I, because like I class myself as a creator, but obviously it's for our brand. So like I look at all these other creators and think, how can I put like a message across to my audience that you're saying? So yeah, I think it's crazy that no one does something to us. So I'm very grateful and very thankful that we are the only people out there who do supply content like this.
And let's talk about that kind of the business journey, because we chatted a little bit beforehand. Your co-founder is your brother, and you two are a little bit like yin and yang. You're like the creative one who does all the social media and all the TikToks and stuff like that, and then your brother manages most of the finance side of the business and all bit more logistical operations and stuff like that. So the perfect combo you've got there. So tell us like your journey. You said you've been doing it for 4 years now. So tell us a little bit more about your growth in that time and what you've kind of learned along the way, because I think the last time we caught up, you have a team of 16 now, which is massive.
Yeah. So I think when we first started, like I said before, it was just a way to make money. It was like we were very entrepreneurial kids. We've always got on. Me and Joe shared a bedroom from like when we were 3, 4 up until he was 16. So like we've always been very close. He came back from university. He didn't really know what he wanted to do. He went into just a normal job, didn't use his degree for a job, which a lot of kids do. Like they don't use their degree for jobs because they just see university as like a stepping stone. I always knew I'd never wanted to go to university. And then it Luxe Collective, we started it. It wasn't going amazing. Like we were delivering around Liverpool, just like from house to house. And we're from an area like on the other side of Liverpool, and sometimes we'd drive all the way to the other side of Liverpool, which would be like a 40-minute drive, just for someone to be like, oh yeah, sorry, they don't fit. So and this was when we were only making about 10, 15 pounds on a product. And like that's not a large percentage because the outlay of stuff, because we deal with luxury stuff, we were paying like 200, 300 pounds. So we started Luxe Collective with £1,000. But that's not a lot of, or £1,200, and that's not a lot of money if you think about it, because our inventory was like 200 quid each. So we started with 6 products, basically, like 6 singular products.
What a journey then! If that's how you've started off to get it to where you are,
with no investment as well.
With no investment, that's incredible. Yeah. Like hats off to you both. That's amazing.
Thank you, I appreciate that. So yeah, I think the journey has just been. We both had jobs. I was meant to be getting an apprenticeship in London, and then Joe sat me down and he was like, look, you can have this job anytime in your life. Let's just open a shop and see how it goes. So we opened like the size of this room, like to the curtains. That was our first ever shop. We had about 10, 12 shoes on the wall, about 5 or 6 coats, and like we built it up from there. And then we just like kept on growing and growing, just slightly over like 6 months, a year. And I was going to Joe, like, Joe, when are we going to start making money? Like, this is why we're doing it. When are we going to start making money? And obviously Joe's 5 years older than me. He was a lot more mature than me then, and still is now, obviously, but I'm more mature than I was then. So he was like, Ben, trust me, it's going to snowball. And then I was always watching and listening and reading like podcasts and like business books and like business people online. And that really helped me, by the way, in business. Like just finding someone I could not relate to, but like he would just like a mentor, but it wasn't like in real life. It was just on social media, and he helped me so much. Like I've never met this fella, and this fella's never met me, but I
Who is that? Who's that?
Gary Vaynerchuk.
Gary V. Okay, yeah.
So like I've listened to.
What would you do if you met Gary V?
Like so he came to London in like a year ago, and I was like, Joe, we've got to go. I think we were just too busy. I think it was coming up to Black Friday, and we were like, we can't leave. But like I love him so much. He's helped me out, like not just in business though, like the morals he states in business has really helped me grow as a person as well. And obviously with his podcast, he gets on guests, and because he likes them, I like them now as well, because I listen to all them that stuff as well. But Gary V was the main reason why we got on TikTok. So we got on, I don't know if you know Charlie D'Amelio on TikTok. Yeah. So like obviously the dancing teenage sensation. We got on TikTok before she was on 1 million followers. I think now she's on like hundreds of millions of followers. So we were on TikTok so early days, and that was thanks to Gary V, because he was like, TikTok, because he knew TikTok was going to boom, because he was on Musical.ly.
That makes a lot of sense, actually, because I know how much Gary V talks about TikTok. He's literally still now, he's like, get on TikTok.
Yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense for him to be your mentor, and why you really push for it, because you're not too far away from 1 million yourself, to be honest now, which is incredible.
Oh, 1 million followers.
Yeah. Like that's amazing. Well, if you add in your Instagram, you're very, very close, really, aren't you?
Yeah, so, just under.
So that's amazing. Yeah. So that makes a lot of sense.
We'll get there soon though.
You will.
We've got some content planned for the summer, and I think that will get us to the next level.
Yeah, that's amazing. So Gary V, obviously a big part of your journey, and TikTok is probably, do you feel like that's one of the main ways you've grown your business?
Yeah, so a lot of people say to me all the time, do you reckon you'll be where you'd be if it wasn't for TikTok?
Yeah.
And I'm like, obviously not. like I've got 800,000 followers on there. Like, and like they say, oh, how many sales have you got from TikTok? I do not know. Like the first 8 months, I can tell you how many sales I got from TikTok. None, absolutely none. Yeah. And then like when the lockdown ended and we opened up the shop again, like we used to have a physical shop, we don't anymore. we were getting people coming from all over. So London, Glasgow, Manchester,
That's
Birmingham.
amazing.
They were coming up just to, it wasn't like to see me, but they wanted to see what the brand was about. And it must have been mad because like we were in this tiny little like warehouse in this tiny little room, and they must have been like very underwhelmed when they come. But I think it was like, they must have been a bit like, oh, it's a small independent business. I'm really glad I'm supporting it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was class. I look back at those days now and I'm like, that's so cool.
That is amazing. So you obviously had the shop. When did you make that decision of not having the shop anymore?
When we got very busy from TikTok. So like we were trying to create content in the office. People would be coming in and out, so it would be disrupting our day. No fault of theirs, like fault of ours. Like we should have realized we should have gone e-com earlier. So like when I was filming videos, customers would be knocking on the door. When we were packing orders, like we were just so busy with orders because it was only me and Joe then. So like 18 months ago, it was just me and Joe, or even 16 months ago, it was just me and Joe. Now there's like 16 of us. So yeah, it was just when we realized that a lot of work needs to be done. And we obviously through COVID, we realized that online spending's going through the roof in terms of like the amount of volume of people, like from all demographics. Like we don't actually need a physical shop, but without that physical shop, we wouldn't be where we are today.
Yeah. I think it's true of like any entrepreneur's journey that you look back at what you might consider a mistake or something that people would go, well, actually that didn't make a lot of sense, but actually probably one of the biggest things that shaped you, because without that physical office, you wouldn't have got to the steps that you are right now.
For sure. I wouldn't say it was a mistake. I would say it was essential in our journey for sure.
Yeah.
Just because with our industry, the main thing that I wanted to do when we first started out, to be fair, was obviously make money. Was when we first started, that was like now I couldn't care less about that. The main thing apart from that was making sure people get authentic items. So like that, our TikTok content a lot is like real versus fakes.
Yeah.
Even like I don't do it too much anymore, but because I just didn't see the return from it as much as TikTok. I was like all in on TikTok, but YouTube videos of authentication help and stuff like that. So I used to hate people trying to sell stuff to us, and we have to break the news to them that it's not a genuine item, and they'd be like, oh, I bought it off Depop, I bought it off eBay, I bought it off an Instagram page, and they would have been spending hundreds of pounds. So it made me feel like I've got a duty here because I know all my stuff. I can let these people know that before they buy, like I can save them from buying a fake. I can save them from wasting their money. So I think creating the content of real versus fake was something I felt very passionate about. And I used to watch it all the time as a kid. So what I used to do was, like, I grew up in a very affluent area, which I'm very appreciative of for my parents, definitely, that like they wanted to raise me there. But like so being in an affluent area, all like the people I was surrounded by would be wearing luxury items or designer items. Like kids, like 9, 10, 11, 12, they'd all be wearing these designer items, and I'll be there in my brother's hand-me-downs of like a champion top or something. Like, do you know what I mean? So I was always around luxury, and I always wanted it. And obviously my mum and dad raising 4 kids, it was never at the forefront of their mind to be like, oh yeah, I'll get you a 12-year-old kid a 300 quid top. So I think like I grew a passion for Luxe Collective that way, of like luxury stuff, because I could never have it as a kid. So it's like that thing of like always wanting what you can't have. And I think when I became the age of like doing it, it was, I think that really helped me as well.
I think one of the things that kind of comes out in like the content that you're creating is you're not creating content that's like, come and buy stuff from our website. That's obviously not what does well on TikTok, and anyone who's on TikTok will know that. The content that you're creating is providing insane amount of value. And I think it's that byproduct that people go, I can trust this guy. I know that if he sells me something, it's going to be legit. It's going to be this. He knows his stuff, and I'm learning something also through this platform as well, which is, when I've spoken to you before, your number one thing about TikTok is provide value, right? Yeah.
So give more than you receive. I think that's something in like just in life in general, like just give more than you receive, because in the long term it will come back in the future. And I think that's what I got from Gary V a lot. That helped me understand, like, it's not a selling platform. Like TikTok, it's not a selling platform. So you see people on there and creating content and like producing videos, and it's not going to work. So there's a strategy to TikTok that will work for everyone out there. It's education, entertainment, trends, And if you want to be successful on TikTok, they're the 3 things you need to do. That's what we did, and that's how we've got so far. And if you look at all other companies, all other creators on there, that's all that they do. It's so simple, but also very complex as well when you start getting into like the nitty gritty stuff of it. But yeah.
So you're sitting down to plan your week of content on TikTok. What does that look like for you? Do you plan that far ahead?
No, I plan on the day.
Really?
Yeah. So like today, I did something about like LVMH. Like I just thought of it in the morning, and then I'm going to do something when I get back about, I can't remember. I've written it down in my notes, but like I just planned them on the day. And I think because there's so much that goes on in the designer industry, the luxury industry. Like yesterday, the Kardashian wedding with the Dolce & Gabbana stuff. Like I need to get on that like rapid. And then the Adidas Balenciaga collaboration, like that came out Sunday, so I did a video Monday. Like probably that's the furthest ahead of plan, like the day before.
Yeah.
But if a topic comes up, I'll just write, because obviously I try and do 3 a day. It's very important to stay consistent on TikTok as well. So I can't, like, people always say this, like, how do you come up with so much content, like ideas? I don't know. Like I just, because I'm so consumed in the industry, I think that like that's very important to be so obsessed with what you're doing. I think something that really helped me in the beginning, and to be fair, I still do it now, is answering all your DMs. So with us, obviously we're a company, so we get a lot of DMs about products, we get a lot of DMs about our service. Looking through your DMs of what the customer's asking is so important. And to be fair, it does give me inspiration to create a TikTok. So if you've got a little community and you're struggling to make content, like video content, or even like image post content for Instagram, just look at what your customers are saying. Look at your comments on Instagram, look at your comments on TikTok, and look at your DMs. And that does give you inspiration, like very much so.
I think it's amazing that you're kind of creating every single day, because I think that's the other thing about TikTok as well. And I think this is why our demographic probably find it so interesting, is it moves so fast. Like trends, you know, people are talking about, the weddings just happened with Kourtney Kardashian, and 10 minutes later you're scrolling on TikTok and you see a video about it. That's how fast things are moving. And I think what you've probably got like first mover advantages is you're a company, you're a brand, but you're operating in the way that TikTok works. When a lot of brands stepping onto TikTok are probably not thinking in the same way that you are. They're probably trying to plan 3 months worth of content, and we'll do X, Y, Z and stuff like that. And actually you just need to be really reactive.
That's definitely what it is. And I think that's definitely a tribute to the team we've created. So like, I'm so focused on content because they get annoyed at me for getting in the way of like operations of like just the daily stuff. Like they get annoyed at me, like not like annoyed, but like they're like, Ben, just do what you're good at. You're not good at packing boxes, or you're not good at telling or like teaching team members like to do this. This is like Joe and Ollie will be like, this is my role, this is your role, and this is their role. Do your role. And I think that just because it's like my baby, it's my company, I want to be involved in everything. But like I definitely need to learn, like stick to what you're good at and just focus on it. And I think that's a bit of like you said, reactive marketing. Like me being able to focus on what I'm good at, it allows you to be so reactive. But obviously very empathetic to those people who haven't built a team, so have to do everything themselves. So like what I did was like, I think like the most simple answer is just like working very hard. So like I'd do all the daily stuff up until like 5 p.m. and then like 5 p.m. up until like 9-10 o'clock at night, I'd just be creating content. And I think if you want to grow a company and grow a team, it's so essential. And it sounds like I don't want to like kind of promote like the hustle culture. Because it's very important for mental health. But I think self-awareness, like if you can do it, great. If you can't do it, just like structure your day a bit different. But like I'm just saying from my experience, that's what I did to grow our socials.
And obviously it's something that's paid off, because now you've got a team that can support you, do, follow your dream, and then you've got that time in the day to be able to create content and stuff. And I think there will be lots of young people, young entrepreneurs listening in to try and understand more about your story and you as a business owner. I think it's worth mentioning, if anyone's not already picked up from the conversation, that you're 22. And I think when we started chatting about your business and what you and your brother have built, I was literally amazed to hear that you were 22 and you'd created this business. Like, for you, being a young entrepreneur, what's been your experience so far?
I feel like it's such a like a broad question to answer, and like there's loads of things I can go into, definitely. But I feel like I mentioned before, like self-awareness is key. So I knew I never wanted to go to university. I knew, so I had a job in Tesco beforehand. Like these are jobs I've had. I used to do side hustles as a kid all the time, but like jobs I did Tesco, and then after I finished my A levels, I was like, all right, I want to get a proper job. I did business A level, by the way, and I got like it was either E or a D, I can't even remember. But now obviously I own my own business, so anyone struggling at A levels, if you do bad at them, don't worry, like you've got it, do you know what I mean? And then I went to a job, and it was like a corporate-y type job, and I got asked to leave in the first month, and I was like, okay, maybe this route definitely isn't the best for me either. I was doing Luxe Collective alongside that at the time, so I was like, I'm just gonna go. Like, I like doing this. Like, it was like, it wasn't like I love it. Like, I'm so passionate about it. It was just like, I like doing this. Like, I'm gonna do what I like. So I think self-awareness is key. Like, just do what you like. Do what you get the most return on in terms of like happiness, in terms of obviously financial as well, because that's obviously very important. Like, if you get lots of happiness from your business, but it's not making you money, you either need to figure out how it's going to make you money so you can continue with it, or you need to do something that will make you money and just do that as a side hustle.
I've heard a really good thing. You should be either learning or earning in whatever job you are. So you might have a job that is providing you lots of financial security, and then you can go off and do your side project somewhere else, or
that's really
you're in a job that you're learning and you can do something else that kind of, but learning or earning, preferably both, is what you should be working towards.
100%. I like learning for me is a very, so like what people say is like, oh, what do you regret most when you were like younger? It's like, oh, learning. Like in school I was like, don't want to be disrupting the class, being like the class clown, if you like I hated it. I just didn't want to be there. And like, if only I would have just like channeled that energy into like reading business books or reading self-development books. But obviously like everyone's timing's different, and like I realized that at probably like 18, 19 that reading was amazing. I've only started properly reading like every night for like the last year, and I can't tell you like how beneficial it is. Like,
you're not the first person to say that on the podcast, definitely from a business owner perspective
of reading. Like you said, like learning, like it's so important. Like, but I take in information loads of different ways. It comes back again, self-awareness. Like one book I'd love to read, but then the next book probably find reading it a little bit difficult, so I'd love to like audiobook it. So it's literally just how you learn and what the different types of book. But yeah, I think those two things of like you said, learning is so important.
So 22, successful in business. Do you put it down to anything in particular?
So consistency. Like, I am massive on consistency. So before we got any traction on TikTok at all, I think we got a little bit of traction, don't get me wrong, because that's why I kept on doing it, because I knew it was useful. But like, before we were getting major followers, before we were getting major sales through it, like I'd created 3 TikToks every day on average. So some I'd create 1, some I'd create like 10, because I was testing different things, like what would work, what doesn't. Like 3 I just found worked really well for our company and our brand. So I created 3 TikToks a day for 8 months without like, I think we got to 20k followers off that. And then like it started to snowball. Like I think we went to 50k and then 100k and then 300k and then 800k we're at now. And I think like that's 3 TikToks a day for 8 months without any like like kind of momentum. And then the momentum came, and then we started getting loads. So I think we've done 3 TikToks a day on average for 3 years, 2.5 years, 3 years, something like that. So consistency is so important. Like patience as well, because if I would have given up after 6 months, because in a lot of people's eyes, 6 months is a long time, but 6 months is not a long time. Like 6 months is like, it's just not. And people think it is, and people give up a little bit too easy, I would say. I think I'm very lucky, because like we were saying, like on the walk up here, like you were talking about, like it would have been nice to have a co-founder. And I feel so sorry for people in business who are on their own, because I've obviously done it with my brother, like closest person in my life, my brother. Yeah, I've still suffered with loneliness and still suffered with stress. Like, and I've got a co-founder. Yeah. So like someone on their own, I can't imagine how it must feel, and how much harder it must be for someone like that. So I'm very lucky in that sense of, and I think finding a co-founder is very hard, but obviously your brother, much can't go wrong there.
Yeah.
You're both very similar in terms of like goals and ambition, but we're very similar in personalities as well. But the way we operate as a human, we're very different. Like obviously we were saying before, I'm very creative. He's very operational. He's very organized. I'm a mess. I'm a total mess. But yeah, I think I would advise someone to get a co-founder because it helped me.
Yeah.
And I think that's definitely why Luxe Collective is so as successful as it is now. And yeah, I think hiring right as well is very important. So we've struggled with hires in the past, but also we wouldn't be where we are today without the hires we've made as well. So I think Gary Vee says, hire fast, but fire faster. And it's nothing personal against the person that you're letting go. It's just your goals and your ambition and your need and passion just don't align. And I think that's fine. Like you can still be friends. You can still, I don't know if like you will be, but you still can be. Like it's nothing stopping you. It's just, I think having like a unified team and like all striving for the same goal is very important as well. I think that's helped us as well. Yeah.
I think also when you're looking for like hires and stuff like that, they've got to love. They're never going to love it as much as you, but they've got to be excited by what you're trying to build.
I think it. Yeah, but I think it depends on the role as well. But I think everyone has to have a certain level of it, and you can tell the people straight away that don't. Everyone has to have a certain level of it, but you cannot, like you were just touching on. Then you cannot expect someone to love it as much as you do. Like I remember watching a video ages ago, and it was like asking for advice. It's like I've hired someone, and they're not like they just don't work as hard as me. And I was like, and the fella said, "Well, if you're giving them a percentage of your company," they were like, "No." It's like, well, don't expect them to work as hard as you. I think that's very important when hiring. It's like having a clear role and communication's so important. Like saying, this is what we need from you. This is how much we expect you to work. Like this is what, like I think setting that first off when you hire them is so important because if they do any less, you can say, look, we agreed that this was what you need to do. If they do any more, well, it's happy days for both of you, and hopefully they'll like love the company even more. You might they'll get promoted faster, they'll get more money faster, they'll make you more money faster, and they'll develop a love for the company, which is only beneficial to both of you.
It's really interesting listening to you. You sound so wise beyond your years. I literally can't go over the fact that you're 22, but it's amazing. And I'd love to dive into a little bit more about life as a 20-something for you, because obviously that's what this podcast is all about.
Of course.
And you know, we've heard a lot about the successes, the business journey that you've been on, but like one of the things that we really like to chat about on the podcast is the fact that like failure is completely normal, especially in your 20s. Like getting stuff wrong is part of adult life, basically. Is there something that sticks in your brain where you feel like you've messed up or you've made a mistake and you feel like you've learned such a big lesson from it that actually you would never want to rub out that mistake, even though it felt hard at the time? Like,
it's so cliche to say, innit? But like you never make a mistake. So I was speaking to someone this morning on LinkedIn, funnily enough, and I was saying, like, if you're not failing, you're not trying. So it's very cliche to say that everything is a lesson, it's not a mistake. And I genuinely feel like it's not a failure. Like anything I've done in the past is not a failure, because it's made me the person I am today, and it's made the company it is today. But there's definitely things where I've been like, oh my God, like that was horrific. So like, I'm very young and I'm very, very inexperienced in dealing with people. And I've definitely like, and I think they'll openly say this to you, like we're like, our company's a very close family. Like we'll all like speak to each other, like just friends and family. Like it's class. Like I love it. So like every day you're going to work, you're not going into someone that you hate being around or something like that. Like we're all so close. But like there's definitely been times where I've handled a situation horrendously and I've had to apologize. Like I've just said, like, I'm sorry, like I shouldn't have said that, or I shouldn't have acted like that, or you are right. And then in business, I think that's only going to come with experience. Like my brother is class with dealing with people, amazing. So now I've just been like, okay, Joe, you deal with the people. Like if anything, any matters, because I'm very emotional and very like it's just hard for me because I've never managed people in my life. But I'm like you said, if you're not learning, like I want to learn. Like I read a lot of books. I think I've just been bought a book actually called Radical Candor, which is meant to help you more leadership and more management, and then how to influence and influence people. And I definitely like, that's my favorite book ever. Like, it's amazing. Teaches you how to deal with people. And like, I've definitely implemented it, but there's definitely some times where like everything just goes over your head and you're like, oh, like you just react the wrong way. But I feel like in business, I was telling you before, I had a very good thing to tell you because I give you a little gift. It was a spray.
Yeah, gorgeous room spray that you gifted me from a previous collaboration that you worked on.
So I don't want this to sound like bad, but that was probably the biggest mistake, like quote unquote, of our company. Like, it smells amazing. It's an amazing product, but I think it was like, stick to what you know. Like, we are a luxury fashion retailer that sells pre-loved items. And we went into a fragrance. Like, we tried to sell a fragrance. Like, looking back
it's
now,
a nice fragrance. I
it
will
is
give
nice.
you that,
No, it's lovely. It's lovely, but it's just not what we do. So it's like, don't fix what's not broken. Don't be greedy. Like, we spent 20% of our cash in bank at the time on this. Like, we spent a lot of money on this project. And I think we received back in revenue, trying to work it out, 1% of what we spent.
Wow.
So like, we lost 99% of this.
Wow.
Now I just give them out to everyone now.
Yeah.
Because like, we lost.
I'm
like,
a recipient.
Yeah.
You want to like flog them on the side.
So like, but like, I feel like it's not like, it's an amazing product. It's just not us.
Yeah.
So I think learning from mistakes is so important. Like, that made us, like, we've also tried to change delivery courier to cut costs. And there was a reason why good delivery couriers cost a lot of money, because they're very good at the jobs.
Yeah.
If you trust someone else, like, there's a reason why they're cheaper, because they don't like, they're not a good service. And I think that's like in anything in life, you pay for what you get. So yeah, those two mistakes definitely stand out to me.
Thank you for sharing them, because I think a lot of people, you know, you'll probably get it from, obviously you listen to a lot of like Gary Vee podcasts and stuff like that. The ones where you probably feel the most relatable to are probably the ones that open up and are honest about these kind of things. And I think a lot of people will feel inspired by that and go, okay, I'm more prepared to, you know, give things a go, and, you know, something might work out and take a few risks because, you know, this person's still thriving and they've made a few mistakes along the way.
I think like there's like the connotation around mistakes has like a negative effect on it, but like, they're not. Like I can't lie, like, it sounds so weird saying it, but like, I love failing because it kind of makes you, it pushes you to be better. And like, you always want to be growing, you always want to be better. Like, what, like, obviously, like I was saying to a girl this morning on LinkedIn, like, being comfortable scares me so much. And like, I think that's why, like, I'm always trying to do different roles in the company, because I don't want to be comfortable. Like, I don't want to be comfortable just creating content all the time. I want to do this and this. But I think you have to apply patience in that as well. But yeah, comfort zone and like just doing the same thing every day. And like, to be fair though, I think people who like and enjoy being in a comfort zone, amazing. Like that, like if you enjoy that and it makes you happy, that's class. Like you find what makes you happy. Like you do whatever on the weekends, do whatever during the week that makes you happy. Sick. But there are definitely people out there like me who are very like uncomfortable in the comfort zone, and that's definitely me as well.
I can relate to that 100%. And I think on that note, it's this idea that like one of the things we really try and talk about on the podcast is this fact that like no one is the perfect package.
Yes.
No one is, you know, literally woke up and was like, I've got the perfect life. Even though from the outside, a lot of people might look at what your life and go, wow, you know, there's no way that he can, you know, have anything to work on or things that you feel occasionally sad about. But we know from speaking to a lot of our guests that no one's got everything all figured out, and everyone's trying to get a little bit better at something. They're trying to improve something in their life. For you right now, what are you trying to improve in your life?
So obviously I'm trying to, like, me and my brother and like our company, we're trying to be the biggest in the UK. We're trying to be up there with Flannel, Selfridges, Harvey Nichols. Like, we want to be on the forefront of people's tongues when they're speaking about luxury items. And I feel like I listen to a lot of podcasts and follow a lot of Instagram pages of successful businesses and like people probably about 5 or 10 years older than me. So the likes of Represent, so George Heaton and Mike Heaton, the likes of Manny Devoir with Reese Rabara, Gymshark, Ben Francis. I probably would say something I do a lot of is compare at the moment. And I think that's like a lot of people do that, whether they do it to their friends. Like, I definitely did it when I was a kid. It's like, oh, my mate's got a Balenciaga hoodie. I want a Balenciaga hoodie, like just that in the simplest form. But I think I definitely do it now in terms of like, they've got that, they've got this community, they've built this business. I want that. And I don't know whether it's toxic to compare the likes of that, because I definitely know it's toxic to compare certain things. But I think for me, it's like it makes me strive and makes me want to be better. It makes me want to improve. It makes me always want to learn and always want to go that extra step and like obsess over how I can make my company better. But I definitely feel like sometimes it definitely is a little bit negative because it's always like comparisons on the forefront is not that great. So I definitely wish I could, if it was up to me, and I was saying this to ages ago and it got brought up today because I was reading the questions out to my office today and I was saying I was going to say this. It's like, if it was up to me, I would unfollow everyone on Instagram and like just not follow. So I'd have an empty feed. I'd have an empty feed and I'd just create content and produce it. And if people want to follow it and like it and interact, that's amazing. But I just haven't, like, to be honest, I just haven't got the balls to do it at the moment. And I think I need to because I'm worried about my friends, whether they'll be upset if I unfollow them, my family. And I think that, like, that's just life, innit? But I need to do something to help me stop comparing.
Do you know what? I've actually given that a thought myself before, because I think when you are a creative person, sometimes, you know, seeing other people's
you get inspiration from posts.
You get inspiration, but then sometimes you can be in a different mindset and it can have like a negative impact. And you can't. Sometimes it's inspirational. Sometimes it's like, for God's sake, why aren't I doing what they're doing?
Sometimes it's disguised as inspirational though, and it's not. Like, and it's very hard to tell the difference.
Yeah.
Like, if you showed, like, if you showed me like 5 posts now and they were all inspirational, but there was one in there that was like it would be negative on your like outlook on it, and you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Like, you honestly wouldn't. And because obviously people produce content, like the majority of people produce content for platforms to get engagement, to get likes, to get reactions from it, to get shares, saves, whatever. So like some of the things they say, they don't actually mean, or they don't actually believe in, or they don't actually live. And it makes you think like,
it's not always reality, is it?
Exactly. It's very confusing. And
but
if it's confusing for me as a creator who understands this, that people create content for these reasons, it must be even more confusing for just the average consumer of the social media. And it must be very hard for people who, like, I feel like I just feel comparison's very bad, and I definitely need to work on that.
I don't think you'll be alone in that. I think a lot of people listening to this will feel that kind of way, and I think it's also that we've grown up with social media around us 24/7, and we're all still learning how best to live our lives with social media being such a big part of it, you know, and that's still something that a lot of us are still figuring out, and it comes up regularly on the podcast, you know, and I think you've talked really candidly there about, you know, how it impacts you as a creator, and I think that's one of those things that is probably going to stick with us for like a long time, and it's about finding out what works for you. And
I think the main thing about socials to understand is it's like, although it was initially to like share your life and that, like, it's like now for me especially, I see it as like, and I'm sure the majority of people do, is like, it's an advertising platform, like for your personal brand, for like your company. I think that I don't think people just use it to share what they're doing. I think everyone posts with the intention to get something back, and I feel like we need to change the way we look at social media as a consumer, in terms of, I think it needs to be understood a little bit better to help people, like 100%.
You're spot on there. So talking about social media, where can we find you? If we've got some listeners here who really want to get behind Luxe Collective, where can we find you?
Our TikTok is Luxe Collective. Our Instagram is Luxe Collective _. We have quite a lot of videos on YouTube. We don't really post regularly on there anymore. That's just Luxe Collective. Anything else? What else are we on? I think that's it.
Well, it's been amazing chatting to you today. Thank you so much for coming into the studio.
Thank you for inviting me on.
It's been, you know, a really great insight. And I think one of the things that we discussed a couple of times is the fact that you're only 2 years into your 20s and you are speaking with such wisdom. And one of the questions that we always end our podcast with is, what one piece of advice would you give to your 20-year-old self?
Yeah.
Now, for most people, that might be looking back 5 or 6 years, but for you, that's only 2 years. And you said to me beforehand that you have two pieces of advice, one that you'd say to your 15-year-old self and a different one that you'd probably say to your 20-year-old self. So go on, share
So
with
like
us.
I write down in my notes all the time. Like when anything ever comes up in my phone, I get my notes out and I'm like, I write that down because I like it. Like I relate to it. That's definitely what, and a lot of those things are what I would tell myself at 15 and 16. Because like I was definitely a completely different person. And I think finding a passion and finding something that I really, really like definitely grew me as a person. And I'm so grateful for that right now. Like if I was to look back at myself, I always say this to people, if I was to go into a classroom like now as me and see me at 15, 16, I would think you're annoying. I don't want to swear. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
no, I would say the same to my younger self. Yeah.
Like you're like basically just like you're going nowhere. If you carry on like this, like you need to like pull yourself together. And I feel like obviously having a passion has helped with that a lot. And also like the constant of like wanting to grow and like wanting to be a better person and just trying to be better than yesterday. And I think I would say things what I would say to my 15, 16-year-old self. I think my 20-year-old self, I just say, keep going. Keep going. You're on a good track. Keep going. That's literally it. I don't think I'd give it any other advice except keep going. Like even now, I'd say maybe pull back on the comparing, but just keep going.
Yeah.
And I think, so 15, 16-year-old self, I'd say don't do things to impress others. I was a massive, massive victim of this when I was a kid. Like I would always care about what people thought about me. I would always like be doing stuff to either like fit in with a certain crowd that like I look back at now and I'm like, I'm glad I did it because I did it so young. Like at 15, 16, I was trying to fit in with a certain crowd. And then as I got older, I was like, it was kind of like a euphoric moment. It's been like, I'm so glad I did that early because I'm not doing it right now. And I know a lot of people right now are doing the same thing. I think that's fine. Like that's just a part of life. And I think everyone realizes it at different stages. I think, as I said before, be consistent and patient. 6 months is nothing. Like 6 months is absolutely nothing. I said before, give more than you receive. The downside of not trying is always less than the downside of the regret that you get from not trying. So regret is like probably the worst thing you can have in life. Yeah. So if anyone's worried or scared about just trying something, just do it. And I think what was so euphoric, I keep on using that word, but for me starting TikTok, I wrote about it on LinkedIn this morning. Oh yeah, on LinkedIn you can find me, Ben Gallagher. I've been posting a lot on there recently. Like no one cares about you. So like I wrote a post this morning to say about what really helped me with TikTok. So I was so scared to post because I was so bothered about what my friends would think, what like people I knew would think, what people in surrounding areas would think if like they knew of me. And I put, back in 2018 when I heard this, my fear of judgment basically went to zero. So in high school, you were worried about what everyone thought about your zit, so your spot on your face. But everybody was worrying too much about their own zits to really pay attention to yours. And I think it's basically like no one cares about you in the best way possible. No one cares about you. So do whatever you want to do. Try whatever you want to try. Just you'll regret it when you're older. Just do it. And I think if I never took that step when I was a kid, or not a kid, but when I was 18 to start TikTok, I wouldn't be speaking with you today. And I'm very grateful for that. Spend time with quality people. Like I'm going on a lot here, but these are very important points.
This is wise words. This is, I mean, keep going.
Spend time with quality people. So like I make sure now that the majority of the time I spend, the majority of people I spend my time with are quality people. So they make me think about stuff. It's kind of like you want to be surrounding yourself with people who talk about ideas, not people. So like gossiping, like I think it was something mad, like 80% of human communication is gossiping, and I don't want to be a part of that. Like I don't want to speak about other people. I don't want to gossip about other people in like a negative way. I think positive ways, like very like sometimes you just do, and I think it's good to speak in a positive light about people. I think so. Spend time with only quality people. You're the average of the five people you spend the most time with.
Spot on,
So if you've got 5 mates who are all into the gym, they're all into the fitness, they're all into like being healthy and exercising, you're going to be the 6th. If you've got 5 friends who are into drugs, into alcohol, into watching Netflix every night, like whatever, you're going to be the 6th. So I think just spending time with quality people is so important. And I look back in hindsight and be like, oh, I wish I did it sooner. But like, I'm grateful for like that I've done it, that I've realized that now. And that was always what it was going to be like. And then probably the last one to finish on for a lot of people listening to this podcast would be beneficial is just try as many things as possible. I was very, very lucky. And I know that I was very, very lucky that the first thing I tried full time as a business, it worked for me. And I think definitely down to like TikTok and a bit of luck in terms of like COVID, but like huge amounts of hard work as well. Like there'd be nights where I was sleeping 3 or 4 hours, like, and waking up, cracking on for like weeks on end. But it's not like that for most people. Like I said, I was so lucky. So try as many things as possible. Like whatever you like at that moment, just try it. If it's like badminton, go and try that. If it's football, go and try that. If it's football coaching, go and try that. Like anything, just try it. Like skateboarding. But yeah, I can't really say it's easy to do because I don't know whether it is, but that's the advice that I would give if I was struggling to find something. Just try.
I think any 20-something, no matter where they are, will find so much wisdom in the bits of knowledge that you have shared there. Because even I'm sat here going, yep, you're spot on. Yeah, I should listen to this. Like, to be honest, you could probably take my job right now. So thank you, Ben. Thank you for coming into the studio. You've been honestly one of my favorite guests that we've had on because you're so inspiring. You're still so young. I can't believe I've said it so many times. I can't believe you're 22, but I'm so excited to see where you go with Luxe Collective because I know this is only the beginning and
I've got goosebumps, thank you.
Yeah, oh bless you. Thank you so much for coming up.
No problem.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Talk 20s podcast. I hope it inspired you in some way and pops a little pep in your step for this week. Got a spare minute? It would mean the absolute world if you could subscribe, leave a review, or share this episode with a friend. We're on a mission to help as many 20-somethings navigate their 20s as we can, and we really cannot do it without your support. We also love to hear from you. You can find us on all platforms via the handle @Talk20s. And if you're struggling with something in your 20s that we haven't already covered in the podcast, DM us and let us know so we can cover it in a future episode. And for more stories of inspiration and resources to help you make the best of your 20s, head to our website, talk20s.com.